You can measure blood, and people do that. They measure vitamin and mineral content. So what's my magnesium level in my blood? That doesn't mean that that's the problem. Your magnesium being low causes problems. The reason it's low might not be that you need more magnesium. It might be that you need to solve some emotional issue that allows your body to use the magnesium that's already there. But sometimes energetically, those things need to be shifted, not with more magnesium in the system, but releasing these energetic blocks to allow the system to work optimally.
Hey! Hilda here. I bring you experts' experiences and epic adventures to boost your health. At Paleo FX, I sought out a good friend of mine, Thaddeus Owen, who is known as the Primal Hacker. He knows how to help us live in this modern world in a deeply connected way. He has moved beyond biohacking, and that's what we talk about in today's conversation. Check it out. Thaddeus, thank you for being on my YouTube channel again.
Happy to be here. Always happy to support Hilda and talk about fun biohacking, paleo, primal, and anything related to living ancestral outdoor lifestyle.
Absolutely, and you're the one that first challenged me, get in the sunshine. You talked about mitigating EMFs and cold plunging. I've adopted all these things in my lifestyle, but now I feel like you're kind of moving beyond biohacking, and I want to understand where you're going and why. So let's just talk about, where do you see biohacking, or how we can optimize our health, and why you're like, maybe that's not the right path.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is I think it's been almost 12 years in the biohacking space, maybe a little more, learning. And I was just the sponge of absorbing information. And it was so phenomenal, the free information that was out there for anyone to learn. And I loved it. What happens, and what I found in biohacking, is most of the people giving the information, they start wanting to sell you something. And that's okay. Everyone needs to make money.
Yeah.
But what I would see and what I would experience myself is I would buy something and I may not even notice an effect or a benefit at all. And so then I would look for the next thing. And then I would get a little bit of a benefit, and then there'd be this new piece of technology that would come out. And it's this like hamster wheel of, I'm always chasing like the next big product. And I started thinking to myself, like, if any of these products did what they are supposed to do, then I wouldn't need another product to buy. It would solve my problem and I would be done. But what I observed both in myself and in other people is they always wanted the new product. And then they would buy the next new product and the next one. And it was this just revolving cycle of spending money to solve a problem that might not be solvable with more money and more objects.
Yeah, so spending all this money and all this time chasing health and being unsatisfied with the result, basically.
Yes, not getting to where you want to be. And the way that I was seeing it in biohacking is it's very externalized. A lot of the biohacking, even though we're talking about these invisible frequencies a lot of times and vibrations, which is all good, a lot of it is an external thing. Like, I'm putting a supplement from the outside into my body to solve a problem. Or I'm buying a piece of technology to put on myself because I'm not enough. And what I started to notice is the people that actually had really good results and looked healthy and they were starting companies, they weren't blaming their success on a product. They were doing some internal work in their own body, whether like they were working with their heart, or they were doing inner emotional work, or they were becoming more spiritual or religious. Like, those things were the key pieces that most people were missing. And it was never talked about in biohacking.
No, because biohacking to me feels very cerebral, and like you said, outsourcing your health to this latest gadget or supplement. And this kind of work that you're talking about is something that to me resonates greatly, because it's like looking to yourself, maybe even looking to the past, to what served humanity best.
Definitely. And one of those things as you're chasing these products and these supplements is the great term you used is outsourcing. You're giving your power to an external source to save you. And you were given all the tools and all the technology you needed from source or from creator. It was given to us. Like, we weren't made imperfectly, but we're kind of being told that we're imperfect and it's okay to be imperfect, just buy this product. Rather than like, you were perfectly designed to be doing what you're doing and on this planet for a purpose, and you were given the tools inside of yourself to solve any problem. And whatever problems you have or you're dealing with, like, that's what's supposed to be happening. And so opening up into that there's a purpose for all of this, and realizing that you hold technology inside yourself was something I had never heard, but I found so much power and so much just like joy and healing came from that thought.
Okay, so let's take it from these intellectual ideas, which of course I agree with completely, and these heart ideas of you heal you, you have more within you to heal than you ever may have thought possible, to practical. So where did you go to begin some of this internal work and to stop outsourcing your health?
So that's a really good question, because there's not a lot of people talking about that. I think more and more, maybe here we're in 2022 right now, and I hear more people talking about it than ever. When I started on this journey in like 2007, 2009, it was all external focused. And honestly, for me, like my journey and where I heard about it first, I kind of got tricked into it. And so I signed up for a coach training program, and I thought I was going to be doing biohacking coach training. And I was at the coach training. It was a lot of money for me at the time, and I signed up, and I was with 150 other biohackers, and we were wearing our sweatpants and our workout gear, and we were going to do biohacking. And what ended up happening is we spent 2 full days talking about our emotions and helping each other solve emotional problems with complete strangers.
I can see why that would be a shock.
And I'm the intellectual guy. Like I went to school for chemical engineering. I'm a scientist and an engineer. And like I get the intellectual and I get like the technology. Like I understand that and I can describe it and I know how it works. And it fascinates me, but that's not what I needed. I needed the internal emotional work, but I avoided it because I didn't want someone to see what was wrong with me. And I just wanted to cover it up and use these external sources. And again, there are great reasons to use those things, but I do think you have to start inside first.
No, totally, I get it, because it can happen whether you're in the allopathic field or the naturopathic field, where you think this expert with this device or with this supplement is going to help heal me, but maybe your root cause issue isn't even, well, I have 2 thoughts. It's not necessarily something that needs to be fixed with a physical expression. Or in other words, it's not that I'm low on magnesium, that I'm not sleeping well. It's actually the fact that I have worry on my mind, right?
That's huge, because you can measure things. You can measure blood, and people do that. They measure vitamin and mineral content. So what's my magnesium level in my blood?
Yes.
That doesn't mean that that's the problem. Your magnesium being low causes problems, but the reason it's low might not be that you need more magnesium. It might be that you need to solve some emotional issue that allows your body to use the magnesium that's already there. And so you can absorb more magnesium from your food. Your cells can release more magnesium into the blood for use in other areas, but sometimes energetically those things need to be shifted, not with more magnesium in the system, but releasing these energetic blocks to allow the system to work optimally.
Yes, and then taking it to the next level, what if your body, because you're not sleeping, is trying to tell you something's wrong, and you're like giving it the wrong Band-Aid kind of thing? Like it's saying something's wrong, so you're like, oh, here's more magnesium, and it's like, no, I'm trying to tell you something else. And what if it's actually not that we're sick, but we're healing? I feel like you were alluding to that earlier too.
Well, exactly. And so if we have all the technology and the tools inside of us to heal ourselves, and that doesn't mean you don't reach out to experts.
Right.
It just means that we can be trained and taught and opened up to do our own healing with the right guidance. And we aren't necessarily sick. We are being given an opportunity to learn something about ourselves. And I have totally shifted my thoughts on sickness. It used to be, I never want to be sick. If I'm sick, there's something wrong with me, and I didn't do the right biohacking tricks, or I'm not taking enough supplements, or whatever it is, or I didn't get enough sleep. And if I'm not sleeping, is the issue to take a supplement to make me sleep? Or is the issue that I'm not sleeping because I have a trauma from when I was 4 that I need to release, and once it's released, I will sleep? So there's all these tools that I think we need to explore further before we go out and do the thing, like take the device or the supplement to make us sleep, when that's not what we need. That might be then covering something deeper that's going to now unfold in a different way than lack of sleep. It's because you put the hammer down to get yourself to sleep, so the nail's going to protrude on the other side and maybe cause back pain. I don't know.
It's like whack-a-mole, right?
Exactly.
Well, what I'm happy is you're moving in this beyond biohacking space, and I feel like other people are starting to come to this realization too. It's almost like a collective understanding that's broader than just the physical health. It's how the emotional and the spiritual and all of it is involved in our well-being.
It all works together, and when you focus on just one part of it, then the other part atrophies. It starts to get unused, and it's all important. Like this, I'm just seeing, like, in this time right now, there are so many more people. I mean, these ideas, I feel like I thought about these ideas and I generated them, but they're coming from all the things I'm seeing and other people opening up and talking about these things as well.
Yeah.
So there's this huge movement of other people and just this energy where people are ready to say, we want like the full answer. And the full answer is taking all of these things and finding the right uses for them holistically. Just that's why we love holistic health and science and all these things, because it's bringing them into union with each other, not just going for lots of supplements or just this technology. We need to integrate all of it to a whole, because we're complex beings. And one of the main things that I saw missing, as we talked about, is like the spirituality part of it and the inner emotional work that nobody wants to talk about and is really uncomfortable to do.
So are you still doing some of this inner emotional work that you were kind of tricked into early on? And if so, how?
Yeah, so after the initial 2 days, we did a 9-month coach training course where we were remote, but every week we had to spend 2 hours coaching each other. And it would give us a prompt of, you have anxiety, talk about it. And I was like, I do have anxiety, so this is easy, but I don't want to talk about it. So for 9 months, we worked together over the phone and on Zoom. And then since then, so that was now 7 years ago when I did that. So I still, like, no one's ever done, that I'm aware of. Nobody completes the cycle ever. There's always some work to do. So I'm constantly learning just new methods and new ways of opening myself up. Like, what traumas do I hold in what parts of my body from childhood? You can have traumas that you don't remember because you were either too young or your body is hiding them from you, but they show up as physical symptoms. So we try to obtain products to cover up those physical symptoms when they're emotional as a basis. So I'm still doing lots of work through a number of things. So lots of meditation, where I'm using the meditation to try to get more in touch with my emotions and where am I holding them in my body. And sometimes it's just a daily thing, like, oh my gosh, I'm really stressed about this issue at work. And I didn't realize, like, that's the issue why my shoulders are so tight, not because I went to the gym 2 days ago. So always a work in progress. And I think there's, people use plant medicines, people use special teachers, people go to psychotherapists. There's lots of ways to kind of open up and explore. I prefer guided meditation to tune me into different parts of my body and understand how they feel, where they're tight. And I ask myself, I ask my body, why are you tight here? What's the issue? And sometimes just asking that question, the muscles and the fascia around that will unwind and I'll just start to relax automatically. It's really cool.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It reminds me of how Dr. Moto has that work with the water, where he speaks to the water, or has had people speak, and they've studied it. It changes the structure of the water. When you speak kind, loving words to it, it has a certain coherence to it, let's say, and beautiful geometry and symmetry. And if you speak negativity to it, it literally affects the water on a level that you can only see like through a microscope or a mega microscope. So I imagine our bodies are the same way. I like this idea of kind of tuning in.
Yeah. And that's huge. Like, we are made up of quite a bit of water in our bodies. Yeah. And people say anywhere from 70% to 90%. I've seen lots of different numbers, but it's very high. Definitely over 70%, meaning if water holds memory, and water can be programmed from your thoughts and your words, the vibrations, everything is energy and vibrating. So when we send those energetic vibrations from our thought and our voice into the water in our body, it programs it, just like Moto showed. If you're not familiar with Moto, just type his name into Google and you'll see these beautiful photos of water structures, from telling the water that you love the water or speaking peace and kindness to the water. And then you'll see these crazy fractal, gross looking structures when they spoke negativity. The intention of the thought behind the words changes how water interacts with itself and with its environment. And if we have all this water, we need to speak kind things to ourselves, but we've got these programs running in our mind saying negative things. And our friend Maylee was talking about, neuro-linguistic programming and how to reprogram the mind to say beneficial and beautiful things to it so that you have, a more loving and fun life. And I think that's amazing.
Absolutely. I do too. So now that we're wrapping up, I just want to share, I'm going to share one thought of something I do practically to kind of reprogram my body and to go beyond biohacking that helps me live my most vibrant life. And then you can share one. So while I'm talking, you can think. But mine is, I actually speak out loud affirmations every day. And this is great for a person of faith or not faith, it doesn't matter, to remind myself of who I am. I say things like I am free and unstoppable, I am optimistic and happy. And even if I'm not feeling like that in the moment, I think it's letting my body know this is the state I like to be in. This is the homeostasis that I want to find. I actually do say also, I breathe, I am balanced. And then I say things related to faith like, the world is transformed by God's love and light. And again, for some people, it might be a scripture you want to memorize or a mantra you want to say over and over. But I think it is important to take out these kind of ruts, these neural pathways that communicate obviously to our whole body that are negative, like, oh, I'm never good at that, or he always is doing this. We kind of speak in these generalizations that are negative about ourselves and others. And if we want to live in our most optimal and healthiest way, it includes these spirit things. It includes these bits that we might not usually think about. So I'm really big on affirmations right now. What about you?
I love that. And I don't do a lot of affirmations personally. What I find is like something you can all do really simple. Of course, affirmations you can do as well, but something that I practice, I think it triggers me every morning to think better thoughts, similar to an affirmation. But what I do is I write either on tape or a piece of paper, and I tape it onto my water bottle. So I actually have lots of gallon bottles of water that I make at home. And my water is in there and I pour it to my coffee maker or wherever I put it. But on those bottles, those glass bottles, is the word love, peace, calm. And so my wife tomorrow creates those sayings as well. And we put them on all the things that store water in our house. And so the water is getting programmed with that positive energy. But every time I take this gallon jug and pour myself some water, I'm seeing love written right there. And I'm like, oh, this water contains love. Now I'm going to drink it. It's going to be so good for my body. So that's just something simple, and you don't have to remember it, because as soon as you pick up your cup or your glass of water, you're going to see it and then remember.
And that reminds me too that I've seen you do this, and I do it as well, saying a blessing over the food that you ingest, just laying your hands on it. And I know there's different techniques for all this, but asking God to bless it. So I think it will actually nourish us in a more profound way when we recognize the energy and the spirit that is a part of all that we take in.
Those things are all huge, and they're all things everybody can do and access for free. And so let's take advantage of this free information, because you can practice it today and just notice the benefits before you run out and buy something. Do these free practices and see how they resonate with you. And it's not always the sexiest thing to talk about. It's like, there's no flashing lights on it and I don't have to plug it in. But it is so powerful. If you just try it, it makes a huge, huge difference.
Well, thanks again, my friend. You're making a huge difference, Thaddeus.
Thanks, Hilda.